that your Monday was amazing and that your Tuesday is even greater. Well, good morning. I'm joined by Robert Chirabonyonyintano, Chantal Olive Akanida, and Jerome Paul Sonko. Now, Chantal and I today, we did not plan it. We didn't even talk about it, but we did it. Good morning, Chantal.
Good morning, Olive. This is like I think like we discussed some time back. This was bound to happen.
Yes.
And very many times you've walked and I'm like, I just left that color on the bed.
Yes.
It's the one I was choosing to put on. Well, good morning. I hope you're feeling well today. It's a Tuesday, and I'm looking forward to the weekend.
Already?
Yes.
Wow.
It's a good week in Sonko's voice.
Well, speaking about a good week, last week there was a lot of tongues wagging in Parliament when the Speaker of Parliament said that members of Parliament from the opposition that have been boycotting plenary sittings will be struck off from also attending committee meetings and, of course, from foreign travel. Now, members of Parliament on the opposition also reiterated and said that the Speaker was just trying to threaten them, cower them into coming back. Now, as we speak, Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago and also a lawyer for the opposition is now trying to actually file a petition against the Speaker's orders. Good morning, Chirabo.
Lovely morning to you. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm just sipping on a cup of coffee. Ugandan coffee.
Yes.
The best you can ever take.
Yes.
Talking about affairs of Parliament, yesterday I had Professor Ogenga Latigo. He was the leader of opposition 2006 to 2011, if I get him right. But he posed a question to me and he asked me, Robert, what would I be doing in this Parliament? He was in the 8th Parliament and he said, when I look at this Parliament, I think there is nothing I would be doing there with a group of politicians that are there. He said during his time, he had Honorable Edward II as the Speaker.
Yes.
Kadaga was then they had the Prime Minister was Apollo Nsibambi.
True.
You had Ogenga Latigo as leader of opposition. He mentioned figures that were in that Parliament.
So Kadaga was the deputy at the time.
Yeah, sober-minded people, mature enough,
yes,
very exposed, and he said, even in the US, you have junior MPs, senior MPs. Committees were headed by very well exposed, mature minds. He said, what is happening today in Parliament? Both sides have wrongly handled the issue. And he was questioning the quality of leaders that we are having today. And he said, that is why you're going to see that many responsible people of high caliber are going to shun the politics of this country. He said, what would you be doing in that Parliament, in the 11th Parliament? Who are the people that you would really sit and debate, handle issues with? He was questioning that. So we have a problem today of quality of people we are sending to represent us. I'm not mentioning any member of Parliament, but you look at how exposed, how knowledgeable, you know, because two things, experience is very important.
That's true.
Exposure is very important.
Very.
Maturity, no doubt, is very important.
Definitely.
Shall we talk about how some of them ended up in Parliament?
So,
how did some of them end up in Parliament? I would like to hear that.
Voted because Ugandans were tired of the leaders they had at the time, and they felt like maybe we also a wave that was coming through.
Thank you. That's the part. The wave.
The wave,
yes.
And some people were actually voting simply because they wanted some other person out of office at the time.
We also saw people cross over from one political party to another because that political party is what was going to earn them, earn them the votes they were looking for. So putting some of those things into consideration, definitely the quality of some of those people in our parliament is to be questioned.
And the politics has changed
really. When we talk about quality of people in our parliament, are we only talking about the quality of opposition leaders we have or the quality of the overall members of parliament that we have?
I want
we
to
haven't actually mentioned opposition.
But it's entirely around the quality, about also the maturity, and in the context here is the kind of discussions that we are currently having. If you're to look at what the Ugandans expect from Parliament lately, is that most of the Ugandans are highly worried about certain, discussions in Parliament, whereby you see committees sitting simply because a member of Parliament was harassed in a, not even, you could actually say, was abused by someone, or use of insultive words, and then a certain committee is actually sitting for months to discuss the same issue. So you get to realize that at times the most sensible things, or the most things that actually do matter to the Ugandans are not really prioritized.
You're really trying to be polite, I can see. You're struggling to be polite.
I am really.
Now, let me tell you, one of the programs on UBC that I watch so much is House in Session. Now, recently I was watching where the opposition was not in Parliament, and now it was entirely NRM, talking about the absentia. But it just took me back to my days in school, where I had what we call debating clubs. I don't know if you guys, every Friday after lunch, there was no classes. It was debating. But if you are going to be a honorable member, the entire week you're preparing yourself, right from dress code. You don't shout in a debating room. You stamp, you reason, you argue, the talk, the expression, and my debating there, I wished it was what was shifted there. When you were young, they used to take us for trips and we visited Parliament. But you would see that there is something lacking. Language, approach, how people present themselves, and I was like, no, we have a general problem. And that goes back to the voter, that Ugandans have ceased to respect their vote. Someone is given a bar of soap in some areas. And
but what is causing that, Chiravo? Because if someone is going to vote because they've been given a bar of soap, a kilo of sugar, maybe 10,000, can we speak about the underlying cause of the fact that now people can easily be bought for their votes because of a certain situation? Let's address that, because there is always a root cause. People don't just wake up and say, a bar of soap, then I give you a vote. Why is a bar of soap or a sachet, a half sachet of cooking oil important to the electorate?
But whoever is giving them the bar of soap and cooking oil wants to keep giving them that bar of soap and cooking oil because that's what keeps them in power.
Exactly. And the reason is poverty. These people are not able to take care of themselves, whereby even a kilo of sugar that should be normal for them to have on a daily is something that is going to cost the country in terms of votes because they can't access it. We need to address it, and Chantal was telling Paul that he was trying to be polite. And honestly speaking, this is the underlying issue. We still have statistics that show that Ugandans, majority of them are living below the poverty line. That majority of Ugandans actually cannot afford to live beyond $1 a day. And in this day and age, that is still a big issue. And if that's what we have, we are going to continue
a certain percentage of our
seeing
population.
People selling votes to get cooking oil.
But well, I think for me, yes, you don't have what you need. But if you have enough civic education amongst the public, if they're well knowledgeable, they'll be able to stand firm.
That's true.
Let me tell you, there are things, look at people, things regarding their faith. Things regarding their culture or tribe. Do you think if you wanted to make any decision, you would give a Muganda a bar of soap? Do you think you would give a staunch Muslim a bar of soap for anything?
You cannot tell a Muganda to disrespect the position of the Kabaka because you've given them.
Yes, we don't have enough civic education.
People
don't know what is the role of a member of parliament. Someone says, if you give me a vote, because for them they don't, and others have lost hope, not poverty.
Yes,
but they have voted for people, and they have been, and nothing they are getting.
No, you know, when you mentioned that, it is also very common lately that not all Ugandans know their area member of parliament or their constituent member of parliament, whereby they actually voted. Because in an area where I voted, you get to realize some people are actually saying during the voting time, we voted, but I don't even know who we voted. We were just voting. You get, so this is this, it goes back to what Chiraba has mentioned, that people are just excited during the political rallies. And this is where in 2021 you realize some people actually went to the poll because a certain opposition leader told them, move and go and vote. Avail yourself at the polling center. And it was the very first experience for most as well. So you realize that most of the Ugandans are not heavily invested in politics as much. Some people actually say, I am not in politics because it doesn't affect me. However, it affects every little detail.
Someone will tell you,
Paul,
even when we vote or we don't vote, there is nothing we benefit from these MPs, these councillors. Let me just give anybody. And
Chirabo, on to that, before we get into the local news, I have this to say. It is said that we, as a people, we are who the leaders we choose are. Okay, maybe it's not coming out right, but the leaders a country has reflects the kind of people it has. Now, one thing I've realized is that especially people from, let's say, what you'd call the elite or the middle class, in most cases, they're the people with the attitude you said of politics doesn't concern me. So we leave some people that don't have enough civic education to make decisions of voting for us because majority of people like us do not want to be concerned by politics. And at the end of the day, we get the leaders we have because people voted them out of excitement, not because of policy and what they presented that they could do. But this is a larger conversation. Right now, we get into the local news stories.
Well, let's begin with issues of security that were very vivid at the weekly press briefing at police headquarters in Naguru. Now, police have confirmed an exchange of fire between Uganda Wildlife Authority and unknown armed gunmen, resulting into the death of 2 individuals. One assailant escaped, and police are currently searching for his hideout in Kabarole district. Police are investigating the whereabouts of an assailant who escaped a gunfire exchange in Bundibujo district between UWA officials. While on return patrol in Kabarole district, UWA officials encountered a group of 3 armed men dressed in civilian clothes. A fire ensued, resulting in the death of 2 assailants. Meanwhile, in Mayuge district, police are investigating robbery of 65 million shillings from an Indian national, purportedly by individuals disguising in UPDF fatigue, as police have continued operations also to arrest and confiscate charcoal to people who are in this trade to ensure that they end environment degradation.
Now, moving on to the happenings in Parliament, lawyer Arias Lukwago has revealed plans to petition the Constitutional Court over the recent directives issued by the Speaker of Parliament against absenteeism by members of Parliament from the opposition. This follows a confusion which has struck the parliamentary committees as starts to bite, despite the instruction that the protesters should not attend committee sittings. Some of the accused members are confused since they received messages inviting them for the respective sessions. Among the most affected is Member of Parliament Francis Zake, who is being investigated for alleged public disorder as a Member of Parliament when he provoked a fellow Member of Parliament, Julie Chinyamatama. Lawyer Arias Lukwago, who appeared in the Committee of Rules, Privileges and Discipline to represent his client, questioned why the Rules Committee invited Member of Parliament Zake, yet he is part of the boycotters.
Moving on, the Renzuru Kingdom's royal guards, who were arrested alongside Omusinga Charles Wesley Mumbere 7 years ago, were granted amnesty. The arrest took place on November 27, 2016, with the king and over 200 royal guards facing charges, including treason and murder. However, on June 13th, this very year, all charges were dropped, leading to their release.
And speaking matters court, the Rwenzururu Kingdom's royal guards were arrested alongside singer Charles Wesley Mumbere Iremangoma 7 years ago have been granted amnesty. The arrest took place on The hearing of the case at the International War Crimes Court, where legislators Segirinya and Sewanyana are accused of the Masaka Machete murders, has flopped. Muhammad Segirinya was absent at court and is undergoing treatment over some liver complications. Meanwhile, the confirmation of charges against the 8 accused persons in the murder case of AIGP Andrew Felix Kawesi has flopped, caused by failure by prosecution to reply to the prosecution's submissions. Now, this is the moment when we delve into the international news that we have managed to gather for you this morning.
And another 11 Israeli hostages, including 3-year-old twins, have been freed by Hamas tonight, Israel says, bringing a total number of released hostages to more than 50. In exchange, 33 Palestinians were released from Israeli prisons, reportedly including 30 children and 3 women. Just hours before the 4-day truce was due to expire, Qatar said Israel and Hamas have agreed to a 2-day extension. Over the next 2 days, Hamas has committed to releasing another 20 women and children, U.S. National Security spokesman John Kirby says. Further, lorry loads of humanitarian supplies entered the Gaza Strip on Monday, with food, fuel and medicine being distributed by aid organizations. Hamas's attacks on 7th October killed 1,200 people and about 240 taken hostage. Since then, Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry says more than 14,500 people have been killed in Israel's retaliatory campaign. Moving on, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un received photos of the White House, Pentagon and U.S. aircraft carriers in the naval base of Norfolk, taken by its recently launched spy satellite, State media reported. North Korea last week successfully launched its first reconnaissance satellite, which it has said was designed to monitor U.S. and South Korean military movements. The photos were the latest in the series of images of what KCNA describes as major target regions sent by the satellite, including the South Korean capital, Seoul, and U.S. military bases. Kim also inspected satellite photos of the Anderson Air Force Base in the U.S., Western Pacific Territory of Guam, and a U.S. shipyard and airbase in Norfolk and Newport, where a total of 4 nuclear-powered air carriers and a British air carrier were spotted, KCNA said. Also, South Africa has recorded a fall in the number of people living with HIV, according to a new survey released yesterday. The study conducted by the Human Science Research Council found that 12.7% of the country's population are infected with the virus that leads to AIDS. The number was down from 14% when the survey was last conducted 5 years ago. The team behind the research said there was no clear reason behind the fall, but added that the growing use of antiretroviral therapy medicines had radically changed the prospects for those living with the virus. South Africa has been one of the worst-hit countries in the AIDS epidemic of the past 4 decades that has killed tens of millions of people. Now, speaking matters climate, President Joe Biden is not expected to attend the opening of the Global Climate Summit in Dubai this week, according to a White House schedule of the president's events. Instead, top U.S. officials, including Special Envoy John Kerry and White House National Climate Advisor Ali Zaidi, will go to the gathering, which will be attended by nearly 200 countries. Biden has made tackling climate change a cornerstone of his policy agenda and his re-election bid as young voters continue to point to it as a key issue going into 2024. Since taking office, Biden has attended the annual UN Climate Summit in person in 2021 and 2022. It's unclear whether Biden may participate virtually this year. The White House declined Monday to specifically say whether Biden would participate in the climate summit with world leaders, but National Security Council spokesman John Kirby pushed back on the notion that he was not traveling due to the Israel-Hamas conflict, saying he was more than capable of handling his global responsibilities. That is it for climate news and also what is happening in the world.
Well, now we cross over into the newspapers and see the stories that have managed to make it to the front pages.
Well, the New Vision with the headline, New Criminal Gang Targets Businesses, as over 800 million Ugandan shillings stolen from 8 districts in a week. Story of that is in page 5. Now, in court, Justice Musoke vetted for Judicial Service Commission. And then also, Uganda's diabetes burden worsens. Now, Muslim land, the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council seeks talks with buyer. As in Parliament, Speaker directives start to bite opposition members of Parliament. Then also the New Vision, court-martial sentences 4 to 200 years. As also motherhood behind bars. Then you can as well read about the Ugandan tycoon Amos Nzei, who bought Pepsi, Kenya. Now, also looking at the Daily Monitor, government sets new terms for land registration. Then the battle for Muslim property, Chiimba out on bail. Then also UNEB recruits 14,000 markers for PLE and UCE as House walks opposite sides on Speaker's order on members of Parliament. Now, the Catholic Church mourns priest killed in car crash. As you can also read about Minister Mao Bak's move to increase number of Supreme Court and Court of Appeal justices in the country. We now do cross the borders to Kenya. The Daily Nation highlights court suspends new health plan. As the order is, petitioner urges it is illegal to deny Kenyan services for failing to register for the fund. Then also up for sale, state seeks to privatize 11 parastatals. That is with what the Daily Nation is highlighting. Also, Integrity doctor who refused to perform unnecessary tests awarded 16 million Kenyan shillings. As in the El Nino matters climate, governors get 10 billion Kenyan shillings for disaster response. As in the relief, ICC closes probe into Kenya's 2007 post-poll violence. Lastly, with our press review this morning, the Citizen newspaper in Tanzania, the new EU envoy lists key areas of strategic partnerships. Read about that as 25 women and girls set for free reconstructive surgery in Tanzania. Then festive season comes with higher bus fares. Read about the changes in the bus fares in Tanzania as harmonized government development plans, says Biteko. That is a caution to the Tanzanian government. And well, that is it for our press review this morning.
Well, we said it's not too early to play Christmas carols. Christmas is upon us and we are in a festive mood. So we will leave you, as we take the short break, we will leave you with Joy to the World. And as we leave you with that song, you should also start playing your carols and decorating. Get out your Christmas tree. It's about that time of the year.
Joy to the world, joy to the world, oh, joy to the world, the Lord is come, let earth receive the King, let every heart prepare him room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature angel voices ring. Joy to the world, now we sing. Let the men their songs employ. Joy to the world, now we sing. We beat the sounding joy. Oh. He rules the world with truth and grace, and makes the nations prove. And makes the nations prove. Rise of his righteousness and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love, yeah, wonders of his love, yeah, wonders of his love, and wonders of his joy to the world. Now we sing, let the earth receive the King. Joy to the world. Now we sing, let the angel voices ring.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
In the heart of Uganda, a financial revolution is happening. We were once left out, saving the old-fashioned way, with an unexpected saving spot, keeping it too close for comfort. But now, we found a better way to save and manage money. Download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store or dial *229#. With Wendy, your money is safe and you can earn interest daily. Visit your Google Play or App Store or dial *229# to register. Wendy Wanawoli.
Junko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief. Start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Thank you for keeping it. Good morning, Uganda, here on UBC television. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and I am joined by Chantal Olive Kandinda and Jerome Paul Sonko. Now, we are in a beautiful festive mood, and I'm hoping that you are also in a good mood and looking forward to the festivities. You're going to hear us talking about festivities for quite some time up until we enter 2024, because this is the time when we usually are happy, we put our hair down, we are planning for the new year, but also we want to send this year, the current year, away in style. So, and of course, the festive season is usually a time when families get together and, you know, make memories and even bond some more. But of course, in as much as that is there, it is not festive for some families, especially families where they have lost children suicide. Now, according to a report that was released earlier this year in February 2023, it said that teenage suicide and even juvenile suicide is on the rise in the country. The study conducted by Uganda Youth Development Link says that there is a high rate of suicide among teenagers between the age of 15 and 19. Now, yesterday we saw another story that was really saddening of a 9-year-old who committed suicide because the school had retained him because his parents had failed to clear school fees, and he was found hanging on a triple-decker in the dormitory, which was really sad. I remember we also had cases sometime end of last year where a senior 6 student hanged himself because he had used the school fees that had been given to him. So when the time for exams came, he couldn't, explain where he had put the money, and he resorted to suicide. Also, another 9-year-old committed suicide. So one wonders what makes, first of all, a 9-year-old to have suicide ideations, or what would compel someone who is 15, 18, at the peak of their life, they're just starting life, to have suicide ideations. Now, we want to look into that and figure, why is it that the rate of suicide among teenagers in Uganda is rising? What are the contributing factors, and how can we curb this rising phenomenon before it becomes something that we cannot handle, before it becomes a cancer that we cannot heal? Now, I'll go back to Jerome Paul first. And first of all, let's try to first understand, when we say teenage suicide, what do we mean?
Well, teenage suicide is, the catchword here is suicide. The only difference is it's the age. But it's more like someone taking their life or having, because of the reasons that we are yet to look into. And this comes about whereby when you look at the examples of suicide, at times it's hanging. And then there is also an element of self-poisoning, whereby a child or a teenager deliberately poisons oneself in order to lose life. And then we also have those who happen to throw themselves either on top of a cliff, off the cliff, down the ground, or whether it's on a rock, or whether it's a high raised sort of waterfall, and someone drops dead into a water body and the like. So it is more like committing, it's leading to one's death, ideally. But also, when you mention about the cases of suicide, one should as well note that last year in October, there was a report that also came out that revealed that there was a very worrying case, or there were very worrying cases of suicide in the Lango region, in the Lango sub-region.
These suicide cases,
yes,
among children or adults? Okay.
Among the children. And it was something that police within the region was trying to identify why it is becoming a phenomenon within there.
Okay, so now can we understand what the contributing factors are? Why is it that teenagers, because back in the day, not that suicide for adults is normal, but you hear about cases of suicide more among adults than among children. So what has brought us here? Why has suicide become a normalcy among teenagers?
And then also, as we're getting into the factors leading to the same, for the viewers to as well understand, even after COVID-19, the cases of juvenile suicide cases increased, or reports, juvenile suicide reports increased because of lots of things. And one of those is the fact that there is an element of stress eating up the young ones, or eating up the teenagers as well, in a situation where most of the parents or even the teachers believe stress isn't something a young person can actually undergo. So in most cases, these young ones go through lots of things, or do have lots of things eating them up, if that is the right word to use, and at times they do not have anyone to talk to. So when you look at some of the reports and the findings of the authorities in most of the regions where these cases are rising, is because of, one, stress factors. Then there's something to do with you know, the stress factor at times is also highly pushed by the academic stress that these particular children have at times, whereby most of them are worried about what they will, how they will perform in their examinations, or how they are going to ideally impress their parents if they are to take back a report card that is showing good marks and the like. Then there is also bullying in the same space. Of course, previously we've had conversations here talking about bullying in schools, and this is also a very key issue that has actually led or contributed to cases of suicide in the country, where we've seen most of the young or the teenagers, the young ones as well in school, being bullied by their mature fellows, and at times because they feel out of place, they've lost morale, most of them end up getting into or having suicidal thoughts in their minds. So also, when you look at also the other things that have actually led to the same, goes back to how these ones actually, the young ones or the teenagers, are treated back at home. So in most cases, some of them, because of cases to do with domestic violence, some of them are worried and scared of how their parents may react towards certain things, or how their parents tend to react after they've actually done a mistake. So once all that happens, for example, if a child commits a mistake in society and goes back home and they are punished or battered by their parents, most of them get angry to the point of getting into you know, committing suicide. But then when you look at this, also there's something to do with a mental kind of or what you could say mental health situation, whereby during this the growing up of this particular when you follow the growth of these particular teenagers, at times some of them had issues of inflicting pain on oneself. So it is something that they actually saw developing in them, whereby some of them end up inflicting pain on oneself to feel relief of the stress. So in the long run, some of them tend to end their lives as well. But then also lastly, there is an element of the rising cases of teenage pregnancies as well as rape, whereby some children have ended up committing suicide after being raped by someone or being defiled, and she feels out of place. She doesn't know who to tell or who to report to. So because of this particular guilt they be wearing, and they end up victimizing themselves upon the same issue, and they end up ending their lives.
Now, police reports indicate that between the month of January 2023 and August 2023, over 5 students committed suicide in 7 months in the Bugisu sub-region. But also in other parts of the country, there are cases of suicide that have been reported. Now, Sonko has mentioned some of the contributing factors, but I would like us to spend some time on mental health. Do we believe, Chantal, that probably mental health or mental illness in this case is a very huge factor, and how is that affecting the teenagers?
When you try to do a bit of research, the primary reason stated is psychological distress. And psychological distress definitely has an element or a bigger element of mental health in there. And tell me why someone in their normal state of mind would want to take their own life. That means they are disturbed. And by disturbed, you're talking about emotionally, you're talking about mentally, and those are the reasons as to why we can center the conversation on mental health being the biggest or the primary factor leading leading these kids to committing suicide.
Okay, now for a parent out there, you have this teenager. I'm really shocked that a 9-year-old, 11-year-old can take their own lives, because you would not really look at someone like that and think that they have it in them to even consider ending their lives, because in most cases, most parents or even guardians believe that these children, their minds are not that progressed to think of things like that. But also there is something Sonko mentioned where parents don't even believe that a 9-year-old, 10, 11, 15 can actually be stressed. And since mental illness or mental distress is a huge contributing factor, what would be the telltale signs a parent, guardian out there should look out for to be like, probably there is a problem, we need to handle this?
The first thing I would really urge parents to do is pay attention. Because if you don't pay attention, you not even see the signs coming. And the problem is, lately our parents are really busy trying to put food on the table. Understandable, by the way. But what good is it for you to provide every every penny needed, and you lose your child to mental health issues, you lose your child to substance abuse because you didn't pay attention? So the first thing is the parents need to pay attention. When you pay attention, that means you're able to see this child progress from one stage to another, and you're able to assess the changes that happen. Now, if a kid has always been bubbly, for example, very bubbly, very expressional, very jolly, and then one morning you realize this kid now is isolating. This kid who was always, the calm one, is the one shouting at, at the siblings, or even at the household, or even at you. This kid who was performing well in class is now declining. This child who was not shy is now apparently shy. This child was very confident, cannot even speak up right now. Those are some of the things you should look at, and for a 9-year-old, for example, you would tell from some of those things, because those kids, the way they grow up, they have that innocence. For example, the child starts to understand when to draw the line when they are getting into the adolescent stage. That's when they start to feel like, oh, they're seeing me, I shouldn't behave like this, I shouldn't do this. But before that, this child actually is free to express themselves and to do whatever they want to do. So if your child now cannot do that, that is before adolescence, cannot do that, that should be a cause for concern. Because those kids, they will ask, they're very inquisitive, they'll ask all the questions at any time, very unbothered, not caring how it's going to make you feel, because in their innocence, they need to know. Simple things like those, if you paid attention, if you spent time with your child, you would see these changes as they come. They're isolating, they're not talking to you the way they should, they're even not eating. Some of them, if they're into substance abuse, their appetite levels are going to change. Even when they're stressed out, their appetite is going to change and go down. Some, their immunity goes down. Emotional health, yes. Emotional health and mental health can lead to weight loss. Some will even gain the weight depending on how their bodies respond to some of these challenges. So if a parent paid attention, these changes should be enough for you to tell, I need to pay more attention, I need to ask what the problem is, I need to assess what is happening. If the child is declining in performance, we usually say, if you come back with a bad report, or if you get a bad report for the Western parents, don't come back to my house. They will tell you that. Yes, you'll get to pay for your school fees next term. That alone is enough to disturb this child. Have you tried to find out why they're declining in performance?
Especially if you had this child probably who used to be maybe in the top 5, top 10, and suddenly they're trailing, and you're overreacting that maybe they are not performing well. But have you looked at
the reasons?
And by the way, when you also look at some of the other cases of the same, when it comes to those in school, most of the children, or most of the students, are worried. The stress comes from the worry of how the parent is going to react. So they end up attending class from morning to evening, no time to sleep, no time to rest, because she's worried, or he is worried about the parent's reaction towards their performance.
Is it only the parent's reaction, or sometimes the stress the school also puts them through?
Even the stress from the school.
Yes, I've had my children in school, and sometimes I remember when my son was in P6, P7 in a certain very high-ranking school in terms of academics, I used to say, but when you go out to play, and he used to tell me, Mommy, we don't play. we do not get
because
out
the school
to
wants
play.
the grades at the end of the day.
Grades, and they are good at the grades, but at the end of the day, as a parent out
what
there,
product are they
exactly,
putting out?
do you care more about the grades or the well-being of your child? So here is where I need to know, should we hold, especially the custodians, the schools, also accountable when it comes to this? For instance, the case of yesterday, this child, the parents were not able to complete their school fees.
Yes.
So the school retained 3 students. One of them was taken by the parents, they remained 2. And this affected this child so much to a degree of them deciding to end their life. So, and also the schools that do not allow the children to interact, to play. Because I remember when we were younger, break time was for us to run around and play, even lunchtime. Now, if you're confining them in one space, yet we know that children like to play, move around. What should we do to ensure that schools see things in the right perspective?
You know, because the schools actually spend more time with the children lately, especially for those who actually are in school. You get to realize the majority of the time the children spend that time at school. And even during holidays, very few parents have time for their children when you come.
Some of them are doing coaching, so they're still in school during
even
the
during holidays.
Yes.
So it is always better for the teachers as well to pay attention to the detail about the growth patterns and how the children interact, or how their students interact. But however, we should not...
Before you actually move on, how best can the teachers do that? Because let's face it,
they have to pay attention.
You have this class of maybe 45 or 50 or 60 pupils. You are 2 teachers. In schools that can afford their 2 teachers, but in most schools, one teacher. Okay, one class teacher vis-a-vis a class of maybe 60 or 80. So how best can they honestly look out and see that child number 85
is doing this and this,
is becoming a recluse?
Well, it becomes hard, but this is where the assessment issue comes in now. You know, learner assessment, whereby it's not focused more about how the child is, you know, behaving in class, but how are they performing? Like we've mentioned, in most cases as a teacher, one thing I do love about teachers is the fact that they can recognize you, even when you think they don't know who you are.
That's true.
And when you look at, you know, when they are marking these sheets, a teacher can ideally identify which student isn't performing as much. Now, in most cases, some teachers end up accusing these students of laxity in the long run, whereby a teacher will come out and say, you used to perform so well, but these days, either you've become lousy and the like. Instead of sitting down to understand, why is this child performing this way? Calling the students as well. Let them become so open to you so that they can tell you about some of the things that are happening in school. Because ideally, a child may not tell you what is coming in from home, but because you spend the same time with them, within the school premises, they can tell you. Because we also have cases whereby a child who has been performing so well, for example, a girl child, may be sexually molested by a male teacher inside school.
And that now causes a change in them.
It causes a change in them as well. So when you look at that, if at all that child has no teacher they look up to or that they are really open to talk to, it will be very difficult. It will start eating them up. And again, if at home, it is also difficult to interact with your parents, it becomes so easy for this child to feel like they are not loved or they will never be listened to,
and
they resort to suicide.
But also, let's note that you see some of those teachers that we are talking about that we would like for them to be there for these kids and identify them. They're also, on the other hand, they are the very same parents we are talking about who think if you're performing if you're performing poorly, you're just being lousy, you're not paying attention. However, this is the part where I think we need to look at capacity building for the teachers especially. Now, please do note that these teachers, when you think back at your high school or even your primary, our teachers always knew us, and if you had where you were sitting,
even when they find you today at times, they will recognize
they knew where you were sitting. Now, it's on every single individual in that school, in the whole administration, it's on every teacher to identify where this child is not doing well. That means we have to be mindful. That means we have to be deliberate. That means we have to have it as a, just like you walk into school and you're like, why isn't your tie fixed? It's in your mind that this child has to be smart and has to look like this. So that means if I meet a child and they are behaving a little off, depending on how they are supposed to be behaving, that should be a cause for concern. I should be concerned. What is the problem? Let's investigate it and let's get it over and done with. Then also, we need to have these schools having sessions with these kids. Like Olive put it, most of these schools are all about grades. Because let's face it, if a school does not perform well in grades, especially PLE exams are out, USC, UC, they're out, the first thing is your child's school, how did it perform? Parents, you've had those conversations. How did your child's school perform? Yes. When someone wants to take a kid to school, they'll call Olive, hey, how the school where your kids go to, how do they perform? You get it? So that means that even that needs to be revised in a way. We put our mind off, not entirely, but a little off the fact that it's grades that matter so much, and look at the overall product that these schools are producing. It doesn't make sense to produce an A student who is a drug addict.
You know, there is also something the parents also need to pay attention to during the holidays. The kind of content
these kids watch.
The children are watching on television as well, because we tend not to regulate as much. It may be an animation, but what are they watching?
You may think it's not porn because we're worried about porn the most, and but how does a 9-year-old know how to tie the rope and...
Thank you so much, because there have been cases of certain apps or even programs like on YouTube that are daring teenagers or young children to take their lives, and in some cases the children have actually went ahead and to act on these dares and lost their lives.
Because
so
the world we are living in is a kind of content creation world, whereby someone thinks if I have more views on a TikTok video, I'll have to risk it all to do something to attract attention. And these young ones are really curious about the same, and then we never pay attention.
Would like for you to join us in this conversation and share your opinion on what you think are the contributing factors to the rising cases of teenage suicides or even suicide among juveniles in the country. You can share your opinion through WhatsApp number 0709602592, and on the X app the hashtag is UBCGMU. Now, before I go into the comments that I've got so far, the Uganda police actually says that most teenagers commit suicide due to the pressure to perform academically, act responsibly, and or the pressure to fit in socially among fellow teenagers. And the police says young people with mental health problems such as anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, or insomnia are at a higher risk of suicide thoughts. So teenagers also going through major life changes like divorce of parents, parental separation, financial changes are also at a higher risk of suicide. Imagine you probably were financially okay, maybe you lost a job, and this is something that happened during the pandemic where parents lost sources of income, and suddenly the family's lifestyle took a 360-degree turn. And now these teenagers that are used to a different lifestyle are now supposed to grapple suddenly, not even, you know, when something is phased in a process, you get used to it. But if it is sudden and suddenly you cannot go to an international school, now you have to go to this other school, or you can't go to a high-end local school, now you have to go to another lower, you know, level school. Some of these things caused teenagers to be depressed, and for some to commit suicide. So as parents, as you're going through these life-changing situations, maybe divorce, separation, you really need to look out for your children, because at the end of the day, you can actually end up, yes, for you, you are fighting, but you're affecting the people under you, your children, the most. And actually there are reports indicating that most people became different after the parents separated. It is reported that cases like divorce affect the children more than they affect the parents. I have comments coming through, and this one says, good morning UBC. The grievance of suicide among teenagers in the past 10 years, suicide rates among young people ages 10 to 17 have increased by more than 70%. And he says risk factors for teen suicide include history of depression or anxiety, lack of support, being bullied and experiencing violence, abuse or other types of trauma, mental illness, early pregnancy among girl children, and dropping out of school, among others. This is Tugume Musa streaming from Rugonjo, Kamwenge district. Thank you for your view, Tugume. And this one says, good morning, team. UBC, thanks for the presentation. Bahita Rogers from Ibanda Chanya, Town Council, Kasese. He says the biggest challenge is living out the culture norms to cope. Culture of modernity, where when someone commits suicide, they used to perform culture norms that limited the spirit of suicidal tendencies to stay in the clan, where culturally they would bury someone where you hanged yourself. Children were not allowed to be there, and the uncle was responsible for all the cultural events at the scene. But these days, children are allowed to see someone hanging. Someone who commits suicide was not allowed to be touched, but today they are even taken home for normal burial, which is not allowed culturally. Let us change the mode of handling those suicidal issues in a cultural way, not modernity. If done, we are good to go. Maybe what I'm picking from this is that yeah, today, back in the day, they used to try and save us the grief. Even when someone died not of suicide, sometimes, many times, children were not even allowed to see the dead body. But today, someone will be hanging and the entire village will be circling around them. So probably it creates an ideation in the mind of a young person that, oh, so this is possible, it can be done. Exactly. Now, Mugisha Juma Hussein says, good morning, Chantal and team. I would like to inform you that there is nothing which can cause a sober person to commit suicide. If we go deep in today's stress causes, you will find that everything happened to you, but you endured. For example, school stress, parents to tell a child to do something, among others. When we were young, we used to boycott our parents' directives, but in return, they used to beat us. They could add me more beatings if I overcry, if I refuse to eat after being beaten, if I run away after being beaten, if I refuse to do work after being beaten, if I perform poorly at school, among others. We could be beaten at home and at school as well, but I'm here. A person who has an idea of committing suicide can even massacre a number of people. I need us to understand that this is actually the what people don't understand about suicide. That like Chantal put it, and as I close, I'll say this. A person in their right mind who is mentally okay cannot commit suicide. It is not because they want to die, but it's because they have lost hope in life. They have lost the will to live. So we need to stop the stigma saying that people who have committed suicide or have suicidal ideations can actually end up massacring people. No, that is wrong. Anyway, this is Good Morning Uganda, and that's all we had for you for our newsreel. Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express is coming up next, and later on, Jerome Paul Sonko will take us through the press review and business, GMU business, and later on we'll have traffic updates. My name is Olive Monica Najuma.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda wange, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
In the heart of Uganda, a financial revolution is happening. We were once left out, saving the old-fashioned way, with an unexpected saving spot, keeping it too close for comfort. But now, we found a better way to save and manage money. Download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store or dial *229#. With Wendy, your money is safe and you can earn interest daily. Visit your Google Play or App Store or dial *229# to register. Wendy Wanawoli.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. My name is Irene Alena Misang, and welcome to the GMU Tourism Express. Okay, guys, today when I was driving to work, I kept on thinking about this story that they used to give us some time back, how the name Kampala came through. Because I was driving through, I was seeing busy roads, busy streets. People were really busy to catch up with their workplaces, and then I was thinking how Kampala is busy. I remembered how they told us how the name Kampala came up. The name Kampala came up like this. Okay, if you didn't know, or let me just remind you about it. The name Kampala was initially a British name for the area, Kampala. It was called the Hill of Impalas because the hill had so many impalas by then. And then with time, when we say that the hill for impalas, in Luganda it is Kasozika Impala. Kasozika Impala. But with time, with the local usage, Kabaka used to come so many times to the hill of the impalas to hunt. So the Baganda people used to say, Kabaka against the Kampala, like to the hill of impalas. Kabaka against the Kampala. So that is how the name came up, like Kampala, the hill of impalas. However, with the developments that have come up, when we say that the hill had so many impalas, you cannot even believe that it really had all the impalas that we are talking about. When we tell you that the king used to come and hunt, now you'll be wondering, where did the king really used to come and hunt from? But, well, that was it. Just taking you through the travel news. We are still rolling about the Cooler Tourism Awards. The Cooler Tourism Awards, of course, it is a good initiative. Like you see, so many people are interested in being, you recognize the champions for tourism. So many people are really doing good things, doing a lot of things to see that the tourism industry moves to higher heights in Uganda. But when such awards come in, of course, we are recognizing different people. Maybe you recognize the young tourism personality, the tourism ambassador of the year, the person who has done a lot to see that he promotes tourism, Uganda's tourism. We recognize the lifetime achiever in tourism, the eco, the sustainable tour companies, hotels. But it seems like the fraternity of the tourism industry is not really happy or impressed by the Cooler Tourism Awards, because when they say that they're a Cooler Sustainable Tourism Awards, first of all, they're saying, how can they be sustainable? How are they sustainable if the voting takes 70% and the judges do the 30%? But again, even the nominees are still complaining that some of them were not even notified. They didn't receive like an email notifying them that you're nominated in this category. Send us maybe your profile, tell us what you've been doing. Because the fact that the judges will definitely judge for the people that they know. But again, even the judges do not even want to disclose themselves. But people need to know who were the judges, what were they looking at, what were they considering to give out these awards. But again, also another complaint that I'm hearing a lot is, why would they keep on awarding two people in the same category? I mean, if it is an award, we definitely have to get one winner. Just like when you say Miss Uganda, you cannot get two Miss Ugandas at the same time. But then it is one category, we have 4 nominees, and there are only what? And there are 2 winners. How does that come in? Because personally, even in the Young Tourism Personality, we were awarded 2 people. I was awarded, but also my colleague, Daphne Nahwera, was awarded. But it was an award. I think it definitely had to be one person to get the award. Well, okay, that aside, several things, we shall keep on diving into it to see. Maybe, probably one time we can get the organizers, one of the organizers to talk to us, why they came up with that idea. But when I tried talking to him, he said that the judges brought up the idea, like, why is it wrong to award 2 people in the same category? If they're Young Tourism Personality, all you guys are doing the good jobs and you're doing well in that category, you can just work together and see that you promote and create more impact to the youths in tourism and promote Uganda's tourism together. Well, that aside, let us take you to Kampala tourism. You know, we are still taking you around Kampala. You know, I really find it difficult for me to see that Ugandans still think that Uganda's tourism has to be in the national parks. I feel that there is a lot to see around Kampala. We live with tourism every day, but people do not really take note of what is around us. And then you look at, it took me some time to note that even the Independence Monument that is just here on the street where, Nile Avenue Street, where I pass almost every day going to work, or even just moving around Kampala, it is a tourist attraction. But because we are locked in that mentality that for tourism, you have to go to a national park, for tourism, you have to go outside Kampala. What about the attractions around Kampala? Just quickly taking you through the Independence Monument. Have you seen that Independence Monument that you're seeing on my screen? Do you know that it is also an attraction? Kampala has so many monuments that are a symbol of heritage, culture, and so many things that they represent. Now, when we talk about the Independence Monument, this Independence Monument, why is it even called the Independence Monument? First of all, it was unveiled. Some literature says that it was unveiled on the 5th of October 1962, just 4 days before Uganda got its independence. And then others say that it was unveiled on 8th, just 1 day before Uganda got its independence. But it is the Independence Monument because the British government, the British colonial government by then, was now releasing Uganda. So when you look at the monument, it has some bondages, and the lady who is holding up a baby up and releasing the baby up. But what does that symbolize? It symbolizes that Uganda was getting free from the British colonial government and the bondages. So this lady was putting up a new baby. A new baby is the independence, the newborn country. So it was up to Uganda to see that we move forward, or we move forward as a country. So let me tell you, how do you market this place? For me, I've even taken up every time I pass by that place, whether I'm with a border guy or with a friend, I make sure that I take a photo around that place and see that I put it out so that people can know that this is an attraction that they can pass by and also visit this place. Also, maybe when you're passing by that place, take a photo, post it. Every photo that you take is an indirect advert about Uganda's tourism. Don't forget to share on social medias. The world is moving digital. You just need to share on online, social medias, Twitter, Facebook, and you'll be able to market Uganda's tourism. It is everyone's role to market the country. But a travel tip for today, as you're traveling anywhere, make sure that you carry a power bank. Like, man, there is no way you can stay without a phone right now. Make sure you carry a power bank as you travel around. Thank you so much. For more information, catch us tomorrow, Monday to Thursday. We are always here, GMU Tourism Express. Next is the business update with Joram. Thank you so much.
To do with tourism, what caught my attention was the fact that we have so many sorts of tourism in the country. And I once heard that we also have food tourism, something like that. And I've remembered yesterday, I did prepare a very lovely meal at home. And if I had a wife, I think she would be proud of me. So I don't know which kind of, if we talk about food tourism and the like, what are some of the things we look at in a brief?
When you talk about tourism, Uganda's tourism is endowed with so many attractions. Just like you've said, we talk about the food. One of the most trending kind of food that people usually come in to see is the Rolex, because you know most of the people thought that they just wear the Rolex, but here in Uganda we eat the Rolex. In 2017, Trevor Noah, the comedian in South Africa, said that he wanted to come to Uganda to test that Rolex made by Sula in Wandegeya. So you see, so you see, Uganda's tourism has food, it has the culture and heritage, it has the nature, it has national parks, the wildlife, it has the water, marine tourism, it has even people themselves.
Oh, okay.
You know, Uganda is one of the friendliest countries in the world.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Of course, you can catch the Tourism Express with Alan Namisango every Monday to Thursday here at 7:30 a.m. Forget about my cooking skills. I'm upgrading sooner or later. But now we're getting into our GMU business update this morning. Well, as we are talking business this time round, yesterday there was a report in relation to Womeme warning Ugandans, or cautioning Ugandans, that we are likely to have a dark month in December due to the kind of weather we are having or experiencing in the country. So any kind of power shortages may definitely occur in the coming month of December. So just to put it out there, you should be well prepared for the same. Now, let's talk tea growing in Uganda, as a section of tea farmers in Kanungu district have started uprooting their plantations due to persistent low prices from the crop. Now, areas where farmers have started uprooting their tea plantations include the Kayonza sub-county, Buhoma town council, Butungota town council, Chenshero sub-county, and the Mpungu sub-county. The farmers claim that the drop in prices of green tea leaves from 500 shillings or 500 Ugandan shillings to 200 Ugandan shillings per kilogram has discouraged them from the enterprise, yet they incur high costs in plucking, fertilizer application, and the general maintenance of their plantations. So you can ideally feel for them, really. They were calling out government to come in and check out and help them in regards to regulating these particular prices, simply because if a kilogram was at 500 Ugandan shillings, now it being at 200, it is ideally not making good money business for these particular tea farmers or tea growers in the country. Now, when you look at some of the situations coming in from there, most of the tea farmers feel they need government intervention. And Joshua Rukundo, the chairperson of the District Production, Trade and Natural Resources Committee, asked the farmers to be patient, though, as they engage the government over the challenges in the tea sectors. And, well, we'll wait and see. And I'll definitely be here to give you more details of the same coming in from the tea world. And who knows, maybe government will be having answers for the same, and also trying to put into context of the idea that the farmers will get what they are asking for. They want the prices back to 500 shillings per kilogram or even more. They have their grievances put in place as to why they feel 200 is not. And ideally, 200 per kilogram for tea growers is little money. Well, now, still with the world of business, we talk conservation and public health. As when you look at this, the public and private stakeholders in the tourism industry have been urged to collaborate toward the promotion of public and animal health care in around the protected wildlife areas. Now, according to experts, this is likely to enhance the conservation of wildlife and contribute towards the growth of Uganda's tourism sector that we are highly anticipating to grow bigger. And then also, Uganda has more than half of the world's mountain gorilla population that is found on the Virunga mountain slopes, Ngahinga National Park and the Winnie Impenetrable National Park as well. Now, through programs like the One Health approach and conservation through the public health, the government aims at not only enhancing the country's conservation of wildlife, but also targeting, promoting safe and safe room for travel within Uganda's tourism sector, but furthermore protecting the tourism species of different kinds in that particular regard. Furthermore details in the world of business here, as Uganda is hosting an economic development with the aim of evaluating the different research ongoing in order to align them with standards that propel economic development across the African continent. Now, which particular conference am I talking about here? The conference, a brainchild of the UK-based Centre for Study of African Economies at the Makerere University School of Economics, attracted participants from far and wide. Most African countries are still sluggish on the transformative economic development. If you're to look at the findings so far, over 50 African economic researchers are attending this 4-day conference, focusing on the quality of research as a driver for economic development. Now, this is in line with the school of thought that African problems need some bred solutions, or where you could say modern problems need modern solutions. So tackling modern African problems in rather an African kind of setting, or the African traditional society setting, may not be the answer for Africa's economic development. And this is why this particular conference at the Makerere University School of Economics is focusing on uplifting Africa and creating room for economic development across the continent. Now, lastly, from our world of business updates this morning, we look at the forex market. A look at how the different currencies were trading as of close of business Monday yesterday, and how you will definitely find them this particular morning if you're going in there to purchase some new currencies for yourself. All right, now looking deeper and starting off with what the US dollar was buying at yesterday. It was buying at 3,752.21 shillings, while selling at 3,792.21. Then furthermore, the US dollar was buying at 3,782.83. That is midday, while selling at 3,792.83. Now, closing time, the US dollar was buying at 3,786.92, while selling at 3,796.92 as well. Now, the Great Britain pound opening time and closing time was buying at 4,743, while selling at 4,791.71. Then the euro was buying at 4,147.81, while selling at 4,158.76. The Kenyan shilling was buying at 24.75 shillings, while selling at 24.82 shillings. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.51 shillings, while selling at 1.51 shillings as well. The South African rand was buying at 201.32 shillings, while selling at 201.85 shillings. Well, and now that is it for our GMU business updates this morning. And besides that, now it's time for us to check in what is coming up with the traffic updates with Olive Monica Najuma.
Once again, thank you for keeping it Good Morning Uganda, and of course UBC TV, the national broadcaster. Now this morning, as we look through the traffic updates and onto the routes that you may be traveling this morning, we have decided to go to the areas of Wakaliga through Mengo and see how you can get around this morning. Now, starting off on Wakaliga Road, we see that there is a smooth flow of traffic in this area. Now, there is that intersection where Wakaliga Road meets Makamba Road and Albert Cook Road. There is traffic coming through from Mugwanya Road, then feeding through into Makamba Road, which then feeds into the Wakaliga Albert Cook Road as of this minute. But the good news is that when you move ahead, Wakaliga, rather Albert Cook Road is actually very smooth this morning. There is a few sections there where you'll find a bit of orange zones, but those are just at the Albert Cook Road, but still it is not intense. And still moving ahead, I see a bit of traffic jam coming in from Canon Apollo Chivebulaya Road feeding into Albert Cook Road. But still, the good news is this morning there is I've not yet seen a red zone, which is good news because that means there is no traffic jam on the road, and I believe that is like sound of music to most of your ears. Now, looking at Sentema Road, there is a bit of traffic coming through from Sentema Road feeding into Albert Cook Road. Now, let's have a look at Sentema Road from where it starts, and as you can see over there, they are orange and red zones on Sentema Road, indicative of traffic jam that has started to build up in some sections of Sentema Road, and actually at the point where it joins Albert Cook Road, you see that now we have a red zone over there, indicating the traffic jam has now caught up in this area. And of course, there is a little bit of traffic jam that is coming in through from Balintuma Road. Balintuma Road is the road that comes from the traffic lights at Nakulabye and going straight to the areas of Mengo, and I see that there is some bit of traffic coming in from that side, but still it's not a red zone, so you should be able to maneuver in record time. Now, going ahead, there is a bit of traffic jam that is coming through from Chisingiri Road feeding into Albert Cook Road, and of course there is a little bit of traffic coming in from Kasalina Road and Cathedral Hill Road, still feeding into Albert Cook Road. But still, Albert Cook Road is still looking good. There is a smooth flow of traffic. Now, having a look at Zake Road, here it's not as smooth as it has been on the main road. I see a green and orange zone coming through on Zake Road that turns into a red zone up there, which now is joining Albert Cook Road. I don't know if Zake Road was worked on, but I remember it used to have plenty of potholes, and this was a huge contributing factor to the traffic jam in that area. But now moving ahead on Albert Cook Road, there is still smooth flow of traffic over there up until where it joins with Botikilo Road and Chadondo Road. Now, in that section, you can see the orange zones that have come up and a little bit of a red zone as people are trying to maneuver from the side of Nakulabye, because there is still a feeder road that takes you from Bakuli, that takes you from Apollo Kagwa Road, joining around this area, and of course taking you to Mengo or Bakuli side. Now, still going with Albert Cook Road, the smooth flow of traffic continues. Now I'm seeing still on Albert Cook Road, I'm seeing some orange zones on both sides of the road. This is now where at the intersection that joins Hoima Road and Namirembe Road, and this is the traffic now we are seeing. There is intense traffic coming through from Hoima Road that is crossing through to Namirembe Road, and of course if we are to go with the Fort Road and Namirembe Road, you will realize that on Namirembe Road there is traffic that is starting to build up this morning, and of course it goes on and on up until where Namirembe Road now joins Mwanga 2 Road, and of course I'm seeing intense traffic coming in from Rubaga Road, and it's all meeting at this intersection where Namirembe Road connects with Mwanga 2 Road. Now Mwanga 2 Road also has some huge traffic coming through, and you could lose a bit of 10 minutes over there there. But continuing still with Namirembe Road, I see the traffic jam on Namirembe Road continues. You see that red zone, it goes on and on for quite some time. And actually, as we go ahead, I see that Mackay Road too, as it feeds into Namirembe Road, there is intense traffic over there. And of course, there is a lot of traffic coming through from Kafumbe Mkasa Road, joining Namirembe Road. Actually, as of this morning, I don't see a green zone on Kafumbe Mkasa Road. All of it is red as it joins Namirembe Road. And of course, there is intense traffic coming through from the surrounding roads like Semgoma Road joining Kafumbe Mkasa Road, and then of course it joins Namirembe Road, and the red zone becomes a deep red, which indicates that the traffic has even become more intense in this section. So if that's where you're heading, please be advised, if you can hold on, maybe you could be lucky later on and the traffic could have eased up, because I also see intense traffic coming through from Allen Road, still joining Namirembe Road. But the good news is Nachivubo Road and Seba Nachizito Road are looking pretty clean this morning. There is smooth flow of traffic that side of town. So as you plan your movement this morning, you could take this traffic update under advisement and decide on which routes to take or which hours to move, because as of this moment, as far as Namirembe Road is concerned and Kafumbe Mkasa, Seba Nachizito Road, you're going to encounter traffic jam over there. But if you know other feeder routes that you can use to endeavor to reach wherever you're going in record time without having to grapple with traffic jam, then you could do that. My name is Olive Monica Najuma. You're still watching Good Morning Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Junko.
Yo.
Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
In the heart of Uganda, a financial revolution is happening. We were once left out, saving the old-fashioned way, with an unexpected saving spot, keeping it too close for comfort. But now, we found a better way to save and manage money. Download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store or dial star 229 hash. With Wendy, your money is safe and you can earn interest daily. Visit your Google Play or App Store or dial star 229 hash to register. Wendy Wanawoli.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala, we have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Past 8, thank you so much for being with us this lovely morning. I'm Robert Chirabonyonyotono. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda. I have a guest and we are going to be discussing something very sensitive yet very important as well, because we've had so much distraction because of what we are going to be focusing on. We've lost lives, we've seen children's future destroyed, property, and so much. Now, what better topic to discuss this morning than the 16 days against gender-based violence? Now, these begin on the 25th of November every year and run till the 10th of December when we celebrate the International Human Rights Day. Now, joining me on set this time as we discuss this topic is a gentleman. Most of the times when we are discussing issues to do with gender-based violence, we usually have ladies. But this time, we have a man. Why? Well, recently there was a report that was released that now more men are running to government to seek assistance over violence. And this violence is unleashed to them by the women. Well, things may be changing, but at the end of the day, it's all violence, no matter who is violent in that relationship, in that family. Now, join me welcome Omoding James, who is the director, Elgon Cares Children's Center in Mbale. You're most welcome, James.
Thank you, Robert.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. And of course, very passionate about the topic of today, because we know people have lost body parts, people we've buried because of violence, domestic violence, gender-based violence, children whose future has been totally destroyed because of violence. To begin with, when we talk about Elgon Cares Children's Center, where do you come into issues of violence? Where is the connection, gender-based violence, and your institution?
Thank you very much, Robert, and for welcoming me to UBC. Elgon Cares comes in as we said, Elgon Cares Children's Center is an organization that is working with children with disabilities and other children living under difficult circumstances. And when you now talk about difficult circumstances, we're bringing the issue, violence, when it happens in the family, it's like when they say, when parents fight, when the mother runs away, when the mother is abused, when the father is going through, maybe also abused, but mostly we're looking at the women. We happen to see the children suffer more. When you see a child with a disability coming in the family, the fathers run away. And when these fathers run away, the mothers now are the ones take care of that, and they suffer. So the children come in the center of this discussion. So that's how Elgon Children's Center is really fighting, because activism is done to safeguard everyone in the family. Remember, Children's Center, we're talking about a girl child here. So we're taking care of the girls, we're dealing with children with disabilities, those ones with autism, children who are having intellectual impairment. Myself being a therapist for children with autism, Chigongo therapist. So I come in to see how such things can be handled. But also as a man, a father, a husband of a wife, a son of somebody, I should be in the question to see that this violence ends, because where is the violence coming from? It is coming from the men. So if we the men are not in the question and we only allow women to talk about it, what are they talking about if the people who are also involved are not in the question?
And I love that observation, that most of the times violence is basically the men. However, one said that men only react to situations because they are physically strong. But if you look at the origin, maybe sometimes, but also you find that still there are those because of upbringing, culture, and all that. But let's first help our viewer understand, when we talk about these 16 days against gender-based violence, these are recognized internationally, that we have 16 days from, that is 25th of November till the 10th of December, when we crown it all with the Human Rights Day. What is the aim? What are countries aiming up to have these 16 days, and what usually happens?
Thank you, Robert. We're looking at, when we look at the 16 days, we are looking at, we're talking about the global 16 days of activism. Is against gender-based violence a key to see to it that the violence ends against women and girls. And when we're talking about it, we're talking about it running from 25th, like said, November, which is the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. And it runs up to December 10th, which is the International Human Rights Day. So the 16 days come in to focus on how, as a globe, as a country, do we come in to support in the elimination of this violence, from wherever it's coming from. Whether it's caused by the women themselves, it's coming from the men, or from the circumstances that are affecting us as a country or as a globe. We have to engage in that discussion to make sure that things are put at par. Because the 16 days is mostly at least to give a focus, attention, whereby many people now wake up a little and come out and, what is this that we're talking about? And we're not talking about only women, maybe movements, we're talking about companies, NGOs, we're talking about the government itself, different stakeholders coming in to see to it that this thing is really put into the perspective that is rightly deserves.
Now, we've had a lot of work, a lot of activism, we've had a lot of non-governmental organizations, civil society, we've had government also push to ensure that we end gender-based violence. But a question remains, even with this so much awareness being created, we still have this as a problem. When you look at statistics, you find that one of the crimes that is really on high is gender-based violence. Now, James, why, despite all this effort, is this still a problem on an increase in our country?
It is so because there are many other things. We talk about cultural issues. We have not moved as a people. some people have moved, but there are people who have remained because some are perpetuating it. You see in the villages, this man and the woman are busy growing, they are cultivating. But when it comes to harvest, they just, the man disappears. Here in some places, they say we are in, you people are from Somalia, meaning they always, if you go to Lango, somebody says I'm from those who are growing soybeans. When they sell the soybeans, the man is telling others that he's from Somalia, like the soldiers who are coming back from there have some cash. So he's now equating himself to people who have come from abroad and they've made some money. So just making it jokingly, but being a serious issue like that, then men disappear. Then again, they wait till they have the planting time. We have seen men in the families who are even educated. They learned people, but they're also doing it. That means we have not moved, irrespective of where we have been, but as a people, we are still in our, they are trying to, like, to babysit a problem. When men talk, they say women have to be put in their place. But still, we are the very people who say, I love you, I cherish you, my darling. But after some weeks or months, you see, the very guy who was talking about, I love you, I cherish you, you are my what? He's the one they say butchered. Some man removed the ears or almost to the point of death, or even death. Where did that barbaric part of it come from? If it is not because we have not moved on. But also we have seen the media, social media issues there. I think we would maybe use it as a tool of bringing out to this to attention of the world that we end this. But still, we are perpetuating it. And there is also, we can say, a light capture in some of the areas. Like you can say the leadership, some people who are in charge. You see this person is not giving these resources to these families. And if these resources are not going to the families, these people remain in poverty, in fact in the poverty cycle. When you are supposed to release this money or these funds, you are not to release them to them. So these people are still struggling in very small things to feed themselves. In the urban, the people in urban, you can say urban poor, those in the slums. I happened to meet a lady yesterday who asked me a tough question. I met her on the way at the university. She said, I want to bathe and also get some food. I said, why is it me? Because I was in a place where she could access a bathroom. She said she had not done it for 2 days. That's what she said. She said, even if you don't give money for food, but if you cannot allow me to. Then later I realized that this lady was among those who they have destroyed their houses in Acholi. Is it Acholi quarters or somewhere? So she came from Gulu, now she's in Kampala, she's sweating. She wants to just get money of going back to Gulu. Imagine 2 days you have not bathed in your country, and who is to be blamed? We could blame her maybe for coming, but Kampala is the capital city of your country. You think this is a place of opportunities. So the leadership should take lead and be in a position to help women wherever they will be. You have seen girls getting pregnant left, right, and center. Some are coming from the people, the custodians. You see a teacher has impregnated a girl. Then you say, what is this again? A teacher? Then a father is doing it to his daughter. Where are we going? Defilement is rampant.
Now, you've mentioned quite a number of issues here that are contributing to gender-based violence. Now, you talked about issues of poverty. You talked about issues of culture. And, of course, other issues related to maybe ignorance to one level or the other. But James, when we talk about gender-based violence, of course key are women here because they're the vulnerable gender. And the men sometimes because of biological structures are more stronger and very few women. Those statistics are showing that even of late, a number of women are being, there is violence unleashed on them because some maybe return when they are drunk, others have moved away from their position. But as we talk about this campaign, don't you think there has been so much focus on the girl child, empowering the girl child, talking privileges to the girl child? Yes, this is a vulnerable sex, and because of our culture, they had been long left behind. But we've not focused on this boy child, who later grows up into a man, heads a family, then he's not prepared enough psychologically, economically even, sometimes, to have better ways of handling issues that arise within this relationship.
We can't say, I think we are, sometimes when we go for activism, we know very well the girl child is still struggling. But when we decide not to lift the boy child, then we are not going to solve the problem. Because we are now heading to where better women are supposed to, these better prepared women, these girls, are getting married to the boys who were not supported. Then we are just making the story bad. If we don't move together, then it's going to be really bad. The situation will be bad. It becomes even worse. Because the boys are being left to fend for themselves, run around and so on. And these girls are being prepared to be good, to be protected and so on. But when the boy is not prepared, he becomes a man. The girls don't get married to themselves, they are going to get married to these men. So they are getting married to men who are not prepared, who have not been given attention. They think being a man, even when you cry, they say, hey, you man, you're a man. Boy, you're a man. Even my little boy of 2 years, my Joshua, I tell him, I hear him, hey, you're a man. You are not, you don't. But when my machulet, the girl has a small problem, I run there. Hey, what is happening? What is happening? Now, that means if I'm not helping the boy, but he's supposed to get married to a girl one time, he will be perpetuating this violence because he wasn't supported. So it's high time women activists, the feminist movements, whoever is in charge should wake up and put this thing in perspective, whereby we say, let boys and girls sit together, let's discuss this thing once for all as a community, because we are in this together. If you remove the man from the woman, then what are you doing? Sometimes we have had conferences where women dig deeper to talk about their issues. They talk about how they are going through without the men who do the problem. Sometimes, no, this thing is about women only. What is our thing? Only the girls what? Now, if the boy is not there listening to how he should change, then who are you changing? Are you changing yourselves? That's also where I think, Robert, things are getting messy. So really, it has to come to our attention that whoever is in charge from the ministry, from the people in charge, the gender desks in the different places, in the organizations, in the districts, should come up and really put the boy child in a way that is also being given attention. Otherwise, we may pamper one side and kill the other side. But eventually, after this girl has come out of the university, gets married to this very guy who was left alone to fend for himself, look for how to make things. He doesn't know what to do. He's struggling. He becomes this man. One day he just comes and says, I demand this, I want this money, I want this. Then the women say, but I made my money, where were you? But also it has come to that, the educated, the elites, we can say the elites. When you're a woman and you're a wife to somebody, be a wife to the person. When you're a director of an organization, maybe put that a little aside. But nobody's telling you to throw it away, but act as a woman.
Now, this is the biggest question. Equity and equality. Are we looking at women being as equal as men, or are we looking at all both these sects getting equal opportunities. What are we pushing for here?
Ideally, we should be ideally pushing for equity. Equity means I eat 2 pieces because maybe I need the 2 pieces. You need 1. It's like we give children, like, for example, we give children more food so that they grow. But sometimes we deny them the food, and the man again, who is already supposed to have grown, is the one now eating again more. So equity is for you who is tall. Maybe you don't stand on a platform. You stand somewhere so that we're able to be at the same platform. But now equality means even me, the tall one, stands again on a platform, then the other one stands on a platform. That means the more I stand on a platform, the more I get opportunities more than yours. So the women should fight for equity. What is it for us? Then as women, as men also go for the same thing. What is it that I'm supposed to do as a man? If my wife is the one having resources, because of now this changing world, if my wife is the one having the resources, she supports our family, pay the fees, do what, and so on. There are women who are doing it. Proudly, there are women who are doing it when their husbands are not having enough resources. But now, the men also, some with the ego, come and say, you bring that man, I'm the one to plan. No. You can plan together. People who plan together make it together. But now, sometimes the ego in men causes problems. And also the women wanting to be equal. We shall never be equal. The equitability is what we should fight for, but not the issue of being equal. Because you will never be a man. There are things in a man that you will not have. Maybe, Robert, you could have gone to the university and in a graduation, you hear a child, a graduate say, I thank my father for this time for paying fees and so on, but more so my mother for the emotional support. The more so now kills, it rubbishes all what this man had done. So maybe men also, we should also come in and begin to give attention to the children. More attention. Though women are the ones in charge, but also you be there, play your art, bring the money, but also if it's visitation days, you also go and visit your daughter and say, my little girl, I'm here. What is it that is happening? But when you just say I've sent the money, have you seen your mobile money there? I've sent, check your message. When you are not there, our presence makes a difference. But I think that's where we are sometimes not really making it happen as a country. I think we are having parallel races. These women want to run their own race, the men run their own race. Then they meet at home. What were you discussing in your race? What was I discussing? We should run this thing together so that we arrive at a position whereby we pat each other's back and say, I think we are moving it together.
Well, our viewer, we are still looking at the 16 days of that is against gender-based violence. Now, this run from the 25th of November, this very month, and they end on the 10th of December with International Human Rights Day. Globally, this is an issue that is affecting livelihoods of people, gender-based violence. Some have lost their lives, others have lost body parts, others their children. A child whose life has witnessed a lot of gender-based violence. This has a psychological impact, and sometimes some research indicates that children who have grown up in homes where there's gender-based violence tend to pass on the same because they think it is the way to go. I remember one time in our parliament, the good thing he came up and apologized. We had a member of parliament, was it called Onesimus? I've forgotten the other name. And I don't know what they were discussing in parliament, but this man comes out and supports beating women. Said sometimes a woman, if you don't beat her, they need to be put in order. She may not appreciate. And some even when you don't beat them, they feel though later had to come back and withdraw the statement. But you would see that sometimes people think this is the order of the day. The gender-based violence is not only about beating or causing body harm. It takes a number of forms. It can be psychological and emotional, which some people say even that is worse. And sometimes it can be very violent and causing body harm. Now, let's look at how society perceives this. I've seen a number of families where they believe this is something light. The aunties, the uncles can sort it. When someone goes to police, there's a child and family protection unit. If someone goes there, then people believe, no, this is, she has taken it, he has taken it far. This is something we can handle within here. James, what is your take on that?
I think it's just that, like I said earlier, that we have not, some of us have not moved. We have moved maybe as people like the modernization maybe came earlier and we were running with it. We don't know where we are. But we are still, some of the things were still behind. Because when you look at that you have mentioned, the aunties coming to support their son or their brother, the sisters coming to, when actually this woman has been beaten, she has been humiliated. Because some of them, like for example, can say, I picked you on the road. What do you have? Nobody is taking that seriously, but this woman is feeling it. That's emotional abuse. It sticks on in her mind that, kumbe, I was just picked. This guy who sings that I am the best, I am his sweetheart, he's calling me that he picked me on that way. So, but we can say at least we have moved a bit, because at least now your beating is reducing. Men, they say, 70 women, they call them, when beating, sometimes in the villages, people are aware that immediately you touch the woman, no, they are beating, but I think it's not so rampant. The woman goes to police, or just reports to LC1, you're a done deal. They know they are going to be picked that very moment. Now I think now emotionally is where they are coming in, and economic, we can call it economic.
Some choose to just abandon homes.
Some just go away
just
because
tells you know what, I left her with the house. I want my peace.
Let her be there.
Let her be there, and just chooses to continue.
So in such a scenario, we have seen women really suffering. Those ones who just, like we said earlier, that somebody gets, after the harvest, then the man disappears. Even after somebody getting a salary, even that one is harvesting, he disappears for some time. Then why he disappear? Then he appears when things are really bad. Say, I don't know, there's this project I was trying to follow around. But when you follow, he was just betting. He was giving out to other women. Why are you not investing in this woman at home? The mother of your children, the person who has made you a man, because it's here delivered your children, your generation, but you're not even taking care of this one. You are running around. When this 1 million gets finished, then you come again, say, you see, my darling, it happens, forgive me. Forgive you for what? What did you do that you're supposed to be forgiven? People should just realize that they are men, they are supposed to take charge. That means they are supposed to see to it that there is health in their families, psychologically, economically, socially, everything that is supposed to be done by guiding the family to move forward. Than this thing of leaving children alone with their mother struggling. Then you come when the children are big and you begin wisecing my children. And sometimes you hear men say, did you come with the children? Even forgets that she also came and did not find you with the children. So it is a two-way traffic that you did not have children when she came. So the children belong to you. So for goodness sake, sit down and deal with this situation, love each other, see, there are people who have done that and their families are moving forward properly.
Well, I must go for a break. We are still looking at the 16 days against gender-based violence. Just a reminder, they began on the 25th of November, and when it comes to the 10th of December, we shall crown it all with the International Human Rights Day. We must end gender-based violence. Either it is unleashed by women or men, the keyword here is we must end this gender-based violence. Let's go for this break. We'll return shortly.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Junko. Yo. Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Well, thank you so much for being with us from the hour of 6:30 till now. It is Good Morning Uganda Agenda. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonitono, and with me I have Omoding James, with whom we are discussing issues regarding gender-based violence. How can we end gender-based violence? It's a problem that has been with us since ancient times, and even with various levels of civilization, we're still having this as a very big challenge. Of course, some cases are reported to police, some are not registered anywhere, some decide to solve issues there and there. It's only when the worst happens that the public gets to know that there's been a problem. But also sometimes when the worst happens, you hear neighbors talking around, we saw this, it would happen, they have been fighting continuously, the man sometimes ran away from home. So to some extent, we are complacent and we've agreed to live with these issues. Now, James, in the remaining minutes, how or what should be done to ensure that this becomes an issue of the past?
Okay, thank you, Robert. I think we first need to understand that we have come a long way, and there are many, many achievements that have come. We can give it to the women movement for fighting for their space. Because when they fight for their space, they even fight for us. A better woman makes a better man. A better woman makes a better family. A better woman brings children who are better. In the broken family, nothing is working. It's just a done deal. So, we should look at the cultural aspect of it and see which things should we put in maybe some of the things, maybe we remove them and say, maybe modify some of them. We have seen the issue of bride price. Some people are complaining that maybe, but also families after taking their girl to school, they say, my guy, without 15 million or 30, you're not taking that girl. Say, now when this girl comes, the man is just thinking of the 16 million. But also we're not going to say remove the what?
You've just reminded me of a very disturbing story some years back that happened. It was in the Daily Monitor where the mother was breastfeeding goats. The woman was breastfeeding goats and the husband said, well, I sold, be able to pay your bride price. Now, am I going to lose these animals? So it was very disturbing, but had a connotation with bride price, paying dowry. And I feel maybe we should change the name. Because when we put price
in the bride,
oh, should it be? Well, that is for our viewers. Should we still call this bride price? Should we still call it dowry? Because I don't think my daughter can have a price attached to her. And I would willingly, if it were possible, say, you know what? You're two young people coming together. Go and start life. It would even be me to bless them. I remember one time I was watching His Excellency where I said, he didn't ask for cows. He's the one who gave cows instead. But I think there is a problem with the actual thing. It doesn't sound good for me.
It may not sound, but now I think we don't, they say if you run away from your culture, so you get problems. But if there is a bad one, I think that's why I mentioned we really need to modify one or two things. That maybe we look at this person marrying and the amount we are putting in this, so that it doesn't really now kill. Because the girl is coming to this side of the family. Is she not going to eat from this side? You have taken all the resources this side. Also, because a person may not really have enough resources. Do we now make that person not to marry or what? Does he now go for celibacy till death? Let's not, I think, make things that are not supposed, because we have seen women who have been advocating for the removal of bride price. But there are women also who are saying, what now makes me to be in this home? Who am I here? A wife. What does wife mean? I need that attachment that makes me to be respected. So there is a discussion between the two sides. This one who are against bride price are saying, you just sit there, when he beats you, go away. When you go to another one, he beats you, go away. What makes you now? Are you not becoming somebody else? Because you are just now moving after the beatings. But now we are looking at this one who is attaching it to a value that I was brought here. I think now that makes me like equated to be in the family. Like there is something that can be talked about that she was married here. But if there is nothing, anytime you leave, I think it is some security of a kind to on both sides. That also you see, we went there at home and we brought something. But also if I've come here, so I know why I'm here. So, but that should not be an avenue for men now to be violent. Because now if you're also attaching like that, then where is the word love in it? I've seen if some families even give their girl something when she's going, they give cows. Some areas, they really remove everything from you. But they even forget that you're also going to take milk where you are going. So if they have removed the milk from the other side, their girl will be coming home to get milk every day. Assuming it's very far now, how will it be working? Somebody is from Soroti, the girl is married in...
I must let you go, James. I just want to thank you so much for your time, and above all, our viewers. Thank you so much for being with us. Ruben is next with a world of sports, and I'll return later on. See you in the next hour. Good morning for now.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Junko. Yo. Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. I